Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to talk about a critical aspect of innovation in the fourth industrial world. And that requirement is high-performance computing. A number of the areas that you've heard presentations on today all talked about large data, being able to run simulations and to understand what possibilities are out there as it relates to implementing or improving technologies. As you may or may not know, KAUST from its very beginning invested heavily in supercomputers and high-performance computing. And that came about because our advisors told us that every research discovery, whether it's chemistry, whether it's genomics, whether it's marine research, all requires high-performance computers or supercomputers in order for the researchers and scientists to be successful. One of the things that we like to say is that if you're in chemistry, we'd rather have you blow up a simulation than blow up your lab in one of our research centers. And it's critical that they run these simulations at very low or high density views so that they can understand and adjust it before they actually invest in the raw materials that are required to actually create the materials or to try to envision types of new uses for these materials. One of the examples that was brought up by Aramco was actually something that we helped facilitate at KAUST, the ability to look deeper in the seismic studies and look at an ever finer granularity of where the oil is. And because of the supercomputer we had at KAUST, we were told they were able to find an extra 1 billion barrels of oil that they weren't able to find with their own supercomputer that they use for their analysis. That's an example of where KAUST, going back to our history and from the beginning of our history, was given a mandate to not only do research, but also to drive innovation and improve the lives of people here in Saudi Arabia and within this region. And from the beginning, we've had innovation as part of our culture and working jointly with commercial companies, especially the more mature ones, to help grow their business and to help them become more efficient. When we first started our supercomputer business, we started with a machine called Shaheen 1, which was an IBM supercomputer. We just recently, and when we bought that computer, it was the 15th fastest computer in the world when we installed it. We just a year or so ago installed our second Shaheen 2. That supercomputer was 50 times faster than the first Shaheen 1 that we installed. In about 3 to 4 years, we're going to have to replace Shaheen 2 with Shaheen 3. That supercomputer is going to be 2,000 or more times faster than our current supercomputer. The advantage of continuing to grow and invest in supercomputers allows us to do ever better research and understanding of the materials and possibilities that we're looking at. It also creates capacity for us to reach out to other commercial and industrial organizations within Saudi Arabia to help them learn and understand how to use high-performance computing in not only maintaining the environment, but also figuring out how best to optimize it. One example that we've been asked to participate in recently with our marine research group is these 2 gigantic projects in the Red Sea around building resorts and building new cities have the potential of actually doing a huge amount of damage to the Red Sea if it's not monitored and protected. And what we're working on and what we're developing and what we're commissioned to do is with our drones that we let go in the Red Sea, we monitor and track to make sure that these projects not only are successful commercially, but they do not do damage to the Red Sea, and ideally, hopefully make the Red Sea better than it is today. Those types of projects couldn't be done without the infrastructure around supercomputers and high-performance computing. You've heard a lot of discussion around big data. It's the same kind of situation. Without these supercomputers or high-performance computing centers, managing and analyzing in real time the big data that's being collected, for example, from the Red Sea, from weather, from wherever it is, without these computers, you're not going to be able to come to the conclusions in a reasonable amount of time and understand what is changing, what you need to change, and where the risks are in the types of changes that you see through this environment. One example of this is we're in the process of trying to map the genomics of the sea life in the Red Sea. It's a very unique sea life because of the density of the salt in the water. And because of that, we're finding potentials for new medicines from these animals that have different types of metabolisms that allow them to survive and work within this Red Sea environment, especially at lower depths of the Red Sea. Again, none of this would be possible without supercomputers to take this genomic information, match it against diseases, and then figure out how to take what you've learned and apply it back in a manner that can bring benefits to both the sea life as well as to human life. One of the things that is published twice a year is the top 500 supercomputers in the world. And it's interesting to watch who moves on that list and who moves off. And there's two major companies that are moving up this list very quickly, and they probably are not a surprise, but a few years ago you wouldn't even see them on the list. One is Facebook and one is Google. And both of them are making huge investments in supercomputers, not to allow your friends to communicate faster to you through Facebook, but it's all geared around artificial intelligence. Because they know and they understand that to implement and use the type of information that they're gaining from all of us in a way that will allow them to figure out how to generate more money, but also provide more services, that they need these supercomputers to be able to go through and analyze and understand what's happening and make real-time adjustments. And that's the real power of artificial intelligence. And there, as you may have read in the paper, especially Google, they have hired up every artificial intelligence researcher that they can lay their hands on, because they know that that's where the future is, and they know that high-performance computing is a backbone to make that work. And at KAUST, we are working on and developing a program that we hopefully will announce early next year, where we're taking our human capital in high-performance computing and our infrastructure and making it available to growth companies or startup companies within Saudi Arabia as a way to help jumpstart the use of high-performance computing, artificial intelligence, simulation, as a way to help companies grow and achieve the type of vision that is forecast for 2030 or even before that, that's based on newer technologies and these new cities that are starting to evolve up north on the Red Sea. And KAUST, from day one, is committed to innovation, and we see this as just another of the tools that we can provide to Saudi Arabia and to the region to help jumpstart this whole program. Thank you.
Welcome, thank you.